rights का bill.
Allocated feature.
Sir, does government also take taxes for bills? Sir, taxes for rights?
So,
Sir,
why
government
would
also
government
takes.
even take taxes for rights?
Hey, stop screaming, so my ears are blasting away.
Okay.
Why
So
would the
Indian,
government take right for taxes?
Sir, from when did government start taking rights for taxes for rights?
it is stated Bill of Rights, right? Bill of Rights.
Sir, for rights also we need to pay money.
Rights means what? Now you drive your car on the road, right?
Yes, sir.
It's your right or not?
Yes, sir.
So for that you do pay the tax or not to the government?
No, sir.
How do you don't know then? So you have
Sir, we pay them by driving our car and filling of the tanky of the car.
so you are paying the tax for the road, red road tax, right?
What?
Toll gate.
Oh, toll gate.
So even you also pay money for what? That you are secure. You are secure. So do you know you pay the income tax? Don't you?
Yes, sir.
So then what is pension then?
Sir, I don't.
You don't?
Pension is like
And
after you retire, the money that the government will give you if you do a government job or any job means like there are other jobs also. I think so, but the government should provide you money after your retirement so that you can survive. That is called pension.
That is
yeah.
very good. In a very little age, you come to know about all these things. Very good.
Sir, because my grandfather always asks me to look into that what pension website.
And now I am Takliya after this.
So chapter 1, the Indian Constitution. So Constitution and silent features of Constitution of India. Constitution of India, Bill of Rights. So we are going to discuss other things, right? So the first question comes out like, why does a country need a constitution? If you observe this carefully, it is beautifully stated that today most countries in the world have a constitution. All the countries or most of the countries in the world have a constitution. While all democratic, the meaning of democratic is what? What do you mean by democratic?
Sir, democratic means like
So when the government
there is
is
no
ruled by
sir,
the
there is
citizens of the country.
sir, there is no like differentiation between sir a country where all religions are found.
Okay, let me point out.
So may I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Democratic countries are the countries where the government is run by the citizens of the country. For a very good example can be our own country, India.
Okay, so let me point out here you would find out dem. The meaning of dem is called as a people. The meaning of dem is what? That's called as a people, right? So if you talk about that, then the next one is called as a crat. The meaning of crat is called as a rule, right? What do you mean by crat? Crat means called as a rule. So if you say that democrat, it means a people's rule or called as a democratic countries. It indicates that means a country where the means you can say that the government is formed on the basis of what the people decide, right? If the people decide if the people decide that means whichever the government will run, so they actually give the vote to them, right? And on the basis of the vote, means the government is formed. So even if the same people, if want, then they can also means discard, rejected the same government from the ruling, right? Let's say that if BJP is in the center, BJD is in a state, so it's all in the all for the region of the people, right, who have a complete belief on these two parties. And that's why means the people means here give the votes to these two parties and make them their ruler, make their government for the means for the country or for the state, right? That is why it is called as a democratic, means people rule. So, while all democratic countries, it means countries where people chose the government, right, or people set the rules, right, then only means you will find out it is a democratic country. And they are likely to have a constitution. So, those of the countries which have a constitution, it means or which have a democratic in nature, so they are likely to have a constitution. It is not necessary that all countries that have a constitution, so you don't need to means form constitution in all the countries. So, and it is also not means it is also not um presented that all the countries are democratic, right? Or those countries which are democratic, they do have the constitution, or those countries which have the constitutions are democratic, right? So the constitution serves several purposes, right? Let's say that a couple of purposes which have been pointed here. The first is what? Now, democratic countries in which constitution is formed. So the constitution lays, what the constitution lays? So constitution lays out certain ideals, certain uh, you know thoughts or certain rules that form the region of the kind of a country that we as citizens aspire to live in, right? So why the constitution is a form? The first thing is called as our ideals are the region of the kind of a country where we live or where we wish to live. We don't want to live a kind of a country where means the government follows the anarchy or autocracy rule, where the people are considered as the slave, or means where the prices are rising, or means rights are constrained, right? So we want the kind of a country where means people can live freely, right? So, or put another way, a constitution tells us what the fundamental nature of our society is. So constitution is necessary for what reason? Now, the kind of a country we aspire to live in, for which constitution is formed. Constitution also tells us the fundamental nature of the society. So a country is usually made up of different communities of people, so who share certain beliefs but may not necessarily agree on all issues, right? So they carry the beliefs, but it is not mandatory that they agree on all the issues. Okay, so this is what the means a country need a constitution. Why a country needs constitution? A country needs constitution because means to fulfill certain ideals, right? Second is called as a means to understand the fundamental nature of our society. Third is called as a means as the country uh, does have different communities of people who have a certain beliefs, right, may not agree on all the issues, so they do have the rights to accept or not to accept. Okay, these are the 3 points you're supposed to keep in your mind. Now, in 1934, what happened? The Indian National Congress, right? think just give me a second.
Yes, sir.
By the way, hmm,
Sir, why do I feel like we already completed this chapter?
You have read it like a few classes back. That's why.
Oh,
why do you think that what? Okay.
we have already completed this chapter.
Listen to it carefully. That's only I want. Okay. So now,
Sir, because we read INC, I asked you what is INC. You said Indian National
We have
Congress.
read that many times before in sixth and fifth grade. INC, the International, sorry, Indian National Congress.
Array in this class. Gadha.
okay, listen. In 1934, what happened? The Indian National Congress made the demand. So it is clearly stated about what constitution form, right? So in 1934, the Indian National Congress made the demand. So what is the demand that the National Indian National Congress made? Now a constituent assembly, right? During the Second World War, this assertion, this declaration for an independent constituent assembly formed only of Indians gained momentum, and this was convened in December 1946. This was convened or this was discussed in December 1946 or formed in December 1946. So, when did Indian National Congress demand for a constituent assembly, Videsh?
Yes, sir. Sir, it demanded for a means demanded for in 1934.
19?
34.
So, and when did it convey or it?
Sir, 1946.
Yeah. So you can see that the the photo on page 2 shows some members of the Constituent Assembly between December 1946 and November 1949. The Constituent Assembly means drafted, means they have executed a constitution or written means a constitution for independent India, right? So the that refers to free to shape their destiny at last. So the constitution created nothing but means shaping their destiny, means that called as a future. After 150 years of British rule, the members of the Constituent Assembly did what? Now approached this or went near to this task. This task means what? That called as a creating or drafting a constitution for independent India, free India, with the great idealism. Idealism means set of ideas that the freedom struggle had helped produce. So how did they get that great idealism? Now, because of the freedom struggle that had helped to produce. Next stage. So we will also read more about the work of the Constituent Assembly in the latter part. So what is it? The next one, it is stated, the photo alongside shows Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, who is addressing the Constituent Assembly. Okay, so if we move to the next one, so the next one is indicating about whom? Means a situation in Nepal, right? A situation in Nepal. So what do we find out? So as far as we have read about what means a couple of things, that's called as a why does a country need a constitution? Second is called as a means situation in Nepal, right? It is indicating that two different countries and uh, their means their situations also in individual context. Now if I talk about that the situation in Nepal, so what do I find out? So I find out that in Nepal, Nepal was a monarchy. So what do you mean by monarchy? That's called as a rule by the king, isn't it? Nepal was a monarchy means it is ruled by means a king. The previous constitution of Nepal, right, which had been adopted in 1990. Now, tell me that it was a monarchy. So Nepal was a what kind of a rule? That's called as a monarchy rule. Second is called as,
Monar-
yeah. So and the constitution which had been formed here, adopted in 1990. So this constitution reflected the fact what, now that the final authority given to the king, right? So it means the king will take all the decision, right? Even it is also stated that, okay, Rick, why does see it is so nice, no? Mhm. So it is stated that a people's movement so reflected the fact that the final authority rested with the king. A people's movement in Nepal uh, fought for several decades. Why? Not to establish democracy. And and also in 2006, they finally succeeded in putting an end to the powers of the king. So can you say that Nepal follows the monarchy rules or democracy rule?
No, sir.
What no, sir?
no, sir.
No. What Nepal follows? No, no, no.
It does
Sir,
not follow the rules.
Then what
sir,
kind?
it does not follow democracy. It follows monarchy.
Then what does it say? A people's movement in Nepal fought for several decades to establish democracy, and in 2006, they finally succeeded in putting an end to the powers of the king. Now the people have to write a new constitution to establish Nepal as a democracy. Why it is pointed? Why it is pointed that
Sorry, sir.
what does it say? Now the people have to write a new constitution to establish Nepal as a democracy.
Sir, because sir,
Sir,
the old constitution, sir, it was written by the king, and sir, it was not democ. Sir, it was not a democratic
as it was
constitution,
not
sir.
taken
It did
upon
not.
by the opinions of the people.
Arey, wait, sir, it did not support democracy.
This is doing that right now.
Now, what does it say? It is clearly stated that Nepal is following with the democratic rule. Yes or no? Now the people have to write a new constitution to establish Nepal as a democracy. So in 2006, they finally succeeded end to the powers of the king. So do you think that Nepal have the monarchy system so far or nowadays also?
No, sir.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir,
Let's,
I don't know.
we will check it that. Don't you think we're supposed to go for that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Following an election held the next year, the Nepalese Constituent Assembly formally abolished the kingdom in its first session on 28 May 2008, declaring the Federal Democratic Republic of Nepal. Republic, parliamentary system, federation, federal republic, parliamentary republic. So king system is removed. It was announced that following the approval
Well,
of,
what system is it right now then?
that's called as a means the monarchy system is removed. No, it is stated that republic parliamentary system, parliamentary system.
Yes.
Uh, so federation, federal republic, parliamentary republic. So Nepal
Sir, sir,
government. Yes.
sir. Now there is politics.
What is that politics?
Sir, now there are government, politics. No more monarchism, only democracyism.
So right now you said about something. Now you are telling that. So do you understand that it is clearly written here that what now to establish Nepal as a democracy, the reason that they do not want to continue with the
Sir, I said it is now following democracy, no monarchy. Uh,
Sir, Videsh said that it follows democracy. I said nothing because I did not know anything. That's why I said nothing.
sir, you said let's find out.
Hmm. So I just want you to make you prove means prove, because by saying that it cannot be made true, right? So the reason that they do not want to continue with the previous constitution because it does not reflect the ideals of the country that they want Nepal to be and that they have fought for, right? So if you look into that, look into this particular one, examples of misuse of power, right? So what kind of a misuse of power it is told now, like if you have the means autocracy or a democracy. Now do you understand the meaning of autocracy, guys?
No, sir.
Autocracy means called as a self rule, means whatever your mind, or like absolutism. The meaning of autocracy is called as absolutism. So somebody, auto means a self, and rule means whatever comes to your mind you do. Like you can take the example of means Adolf Hitler, right? Adolf Hitler of Germany. So let's say that what do you mean by autocracy and democracy? See that the example is given here. Suresh is the what? Now Suresh is the class monitor. Now he is a bully. Who is a bully? Suresh. His classmates are not too fond of him. Means they do not love him. Mrs. Rao, the class teacher, has to leave the classroom on some urgent work. She asks Suresh to means mind the class. Mind the class means to make the class uh, means a discipline. Suresh starts speaking on Anil. Today, Suresh starts speaking on Anil. And what did he say? Anil, today I am going to report you to Mrs. Rao. Right. But what have I done? Who said? Means Anil said to whom? Means Suresh, that what? Means what have I done? Unnecessary or without any reason? Why do you complain my name to Mrs. Rao? Right. So now see that what happened after it. Mhm. Now, so when Mrs. Rao returns to the class, immediately the complaint started, right? Ma'am, while you were away, Anil kept talking loudly and disturbing the class. He would not listen to me. So it means you are the class monitor. So that's why what you did. Now you simply take one of the students' name and you complain against him, right? So what happened? Now, again, the madam said, Anil, you will have to stay back after school today and write. I will not disobey the class monitor 100 times. So, Anil did not even get a chance to means prove himself. So, but ma'am, I did not do anything. Now, observe that means who did what? Now, it is the,
Sir,
yes,
sir, can we call this nepotism?
no, it's not nepotism at all. How come you will call
But
it?
I also don't know, sir, why, but Suresh looks like a old creepy man who is about to kidnap Anil.
By the way, let me point out, means we can't say that it's a nepotism. The meaning of
Sir,
nepotism,
then what is nepotism?
nepotism is called as a favorism. So here, madam is not favoring to Suresh, right? So madam has given certain means power to a particular person, and he is utilizing that power, means, or he is misutilizing his power. How does he misutilize? Now, by taking the name of a boy who is innocent, but putting him in the wrong trap, right? So, wrongly in trap. So, you can point out that here Anil is an innocent, whereas Suresh is putting him in problem. Why? Because he has the power, right? So, and he rules whatever he thinks uh, better for him or good for him. So, or called as a kind of a fun, right, on his own. So uh, it is intentionally done, right? Now this is something called as a monarchy or autocracy. Now look into the examples of domination and majoritism. So what do you find out here? Let's play basketball today for a change. No, we will play cricket. So that, then after what happened, we always have to do what the boys want because they are in majority. So ma'am should think of another way to make. The teacher decides to settle the problem with a show of hands. Hey, hey, we have own, we have own. Obviously, there are more boys in the class. Obviously, there are more boys in the class. So, do you see that? What do you find out? Means you find out that on the basis of the majority, so you chose one of the government, right? So, and that the government takes the decision what the majority decides, right? So that is what you would find out here. So the first one is called as a autocracy, the second one is called as a democracy. So in democracy what happened, means in democracy people uh, take all the decisions because the majority is people, right? That is why. So am I clear? But in autocracy one person who decide everything. So and that one person whatever he believes is good or bad, right?
Yes,
That's what.
sir.
Hmm.
So there are not like many options that he could discuss with to know what's good and not good for the society because he's taking care of it alone in the autocracy. But in democracy, here there are a bunch of people all around and they are only discussing what should they do or the what should they not do.
Yeah. So now look into the reviews of both the example. Here, the class monitor Suresh is a bully, wanted to make Akhil is an innocent boy, and the teacher believes the class monitor, right? So, the constitution usually contains rules that make sure that minorities are not excluded from anything that is routinely available. A constitution is precisely prevent